This is the story of the race in one continuous film sequence.
May 6, 1954.
The most sought-after target in athletics, the 4-minute mile, was achieved yesterday evening on the Oxford University track at Iffley Road.
3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. The impossible had just become possible. You see, the 4-minute mile wasn't just a time barrier. It was considered a biological impossibility.
And people said, well, there may be a barrier. You can't keep on running faster. Is 4 minutes the barrier?
Basically, a bunch of sports scientists claimed that the human heart would explode and your lungs would collapse if you try to break the 4-minute mile.
Up till yesterday, the world record for the mile stood at 4 minutes, 1.4 seconds.
It seemed like humanity had reached its absolute limit. Enter Roger Bannister. Not your typical athlete, terrible English accent, but he was a medical student who trained just 30 minutes a day, while his competitors trained for hours and hours and hours. Now, his classmates thought he was wasting his time. Like, his coaches would tell him, hey, you're getting too analytical, too cerebral about the whole running process. You know, it's a sport, buddy. You know, get out of your head, into your body. But Bannister had something others didn't. He refused to accept what anyone would call impossible.
It didn't make sense to me that there was a barrier and that if someone could run 4 minutes, 1.2 seconds, it was possible to run it in under 4 minutes.
Now, you see, most people just focus on purely the physical training. Bannister had revolutionized the mental game, because it's all in the mind. You see, he used 3 breakthrough strategies. So first, he pioneered interval training, which is like short bursts of intense speed rather than just long, steady runs. You know, this built an explosive power no one really had before. The second thing he did, which was really smart, is he recruited pacemakers. Chris Brasher and Chris Chataway would run the first 3 laps, protecting Bannister from wind resistance and setting the perfect pace, meaning he brought teamwork to an individual sport. But here is the genius move. Bannister visualized breaking through the barrier thousands of times. You see, he ran the race in his mind until 3:59 felt inevitable, not impossible. The moment of truth. It's May 6th with super windy conditions, and the race almost gets called off. But at 6 p.m., the wind's calm.
But as Bannister lined up for the start in this race between the 3As and Oxford University,
The gun goes off.
he knew that he had 2 colleagues with him who'd help him beat that time.
Brasher leads for the 800 meters at the perfect pace. Chataway takes over at 1200 meters.
Chataway starts to spurt ahead. He overtakes Bannister and then Brasher. And the gallant Brasher, having achieved his selfless pacemaking task, drops behind. Now it's Chataway leading, Bannister second.
With only 300 meters to go, you just see Roger fucking fighting for his life, and boom, he makes his move.
Watch his giant stride take him to the front as he races the last lung-bursting furlong to the finishing post. This was it, the final effort against the seconds that have kept him and many others from the 4-minute mile.
His legs are burning, his lungs are screaming, but his mind is calm because he's trained for this.
The tape is broken, and so is the record athletes have long been dreaming about. But at first, Bannister knows little about it. He stumbles into the arms of his coach, completely exhausted by his magnificent effort.
3,000 people erupting, screaming and cheering. The impossible barrier had been broken.
And that's how Roger Bannister, the 25-year-old medical student, became the first man in the world to run a mile in under 4 minutes.
Everyone up until that point had said that the 4-minute mile was impossible until someone proved it wasn't.
3 minutes, 59.4 seconds to be exact.
Then 2 months after Bannister broke it, 2 more runners broke it. Dude, it's crazy to think that literal fucking scientists were saying this is biologically impossible, but he was, fuck that, I'ma do it my way. And he did it, bro. I always wonder if there was a graveyard full of dreams that were never accomplished, most of those graveyards were dug by the people who dreamt them. Like, we honestly cut our own wings off before anyone else does. So go ahead and start locking in your 4-minute mile. There's nothing impossible. Everything was made up. There are no rules in this world. This whole thing is a video game. Love you like a headache. See you next video.